we're going to be doing a biro portrait on a map for today's project, which will train you to be really good, especially at proportions and observing angles of the face in relationship from one point to another. Now I've got my my royalty-free photograph by Collis, the link's below. Here's the reference image to my left. I'm going to be drawing on that, so it's important you might want to print out, that way you can follow me along and understand what I'm talking about. I've got a map here that I'm just going to be working on. I've got a blue biro and I've got a ruler, and the ruler is generally so that I can show you where things line up and you can understand the thought path that I'm taking and apply it to yours if it works for you. With drawing and portraits, it's kind of very unique, personal things. You'll find that some things work for you and some things don't. So go with it and see what you think. Now, before I get started on this drawing, I want to just go through the face and have a look at what's going on here. Because this is it with faces, if you get something slightly wrong, it knocks out everything and you lose that character that you're trying to build up in the early stages. Now, this is a lovely profile shot, but there's loads of issues kind of going on with it that I know are going to pop up within your work. So let's talk them out early, and then that way hopefully you shouldn't get them feeding through. So first of all, we've got this profile, which means I'm ultimately looking at having quite a large circle over here for the brain area. I'm sure the model will value that. The circle over here will be drawn very lightly using the biro, and with a biro you'll find that you can get softer, lighter tones by controlling your downward pressure and the angle of the biro to the piece of paper. Now, not all biros are the same. You might find different brands give you better changes in tone, while others are just really hard to manage. So try a few and see what you find works for you. This is just a Bic blue kind of standard biro. So I've totally gone off track then, sorry. First of all, I'm going to be looking at getting this circle in to make sure that I can fit him onto my piece of paper. I obviously need then a load of excess to the right of me for the profile of the features. Now with this profile of the features, he's got quite a large forehead because of the tilt of the angle of the face. And we get this lovely arch over the eyebrow. Now this forehead, if I draw along here, look at that angle, because I know there's going to be people going straight up, but can you see that angle? It's slightly softened than a vertical line. And also look at this angle, and you might find it really handy to trace around the profile of the face that you're going to be doing, because you know you can get a feel for angles. Sometimes muscle memory is better than just your eyes looking at things. So can you see that going downhill? It's not straight, but it's slightly going downhill with the nose. And can you see that as well? See how that's coming into the face? Then I've got again another downward slope. Then I've got this lips. Now the lips are far more complicated than we ever usually give them credit. So with the lips, you can see that the lip needs to be going further up than the nose. So if I had a vertical line coming down here, an alignment line, I know that lips have got to be slightly right of any nose position. The face is coming out quite a lot towards the right. Then I've got this bottom lip, and the bottom lip sticks out a little bit more than the top lip. Can you see that point? It's a little bit more right. There's not much in it, but it's a little bit more right. Then I've got this hook down under the chin, and then I've got the chin shape. And if you look at the chin is slightly shine more right than the bottom lip. So the whole of the features are moving a little bit more right as they go along. Okay, now if you come down here, look at this angle. Can you see that slope? Okay, gentle slope, so keep an eye on that. Now you can see here, generally I've built up the face in a form of straight lines. And you will find that it is a lot easier to construct things in straight lines than it is to try and get the curves first of all. Don't worry about the eye position as well. Do not get pulled into that. The amount of people I see that get pulled into eye positions, and that will cause massive distortion as you work down. So do keep an eye on just the face and getting the features in the right place. Mainly the angles and the how far out one feature comes out to another, like the top lip to the bottom lip to the chin. Now the other thing you do need to also pay attention to is going to be the ear position. Because of the tilt of the chin up quite high in the pose, you see all the throat and the neck underneath. You can see this ear is really low down. So I'm going to take my ruler and show you how low down. How low can we go? And I'm going to draw a nice vertical line. I'm just kind of doing mine by eye. You could measure it if you wanted to. So which features this ear hits? Let's go. I'd say that's about right. If I go a little bit darker on this one. Now you can see that ear is sitting below the nose and into the chin section. It's really low. The amount of these ears I see drifting up towards the eye. Also, look at that angle. Can you see that gentle angle? Now with ears, how they connect onto the head, can you see this angle here of where the ear connection is onto the head? That generally should tally up, yeah, with the nose position. So you can see that probably a little bit more of a softer angle. So if I move that angle up where the ear joins onto the head, it should be very similar to the nose angle onto the face. That gives you a little bit more of a guide of your ear position. Okay. Now ears are great. They're particularly unique. I think the FBI use them in airports to look for terrorists. They're like fingerprints. This means that you need to get this accurate and be very true with what you can see. This shape in here is just like a fingerprint. Okay, we need to be working on that and getting that accurately. The other thing that I think we need to really just be aware of before we get started is how big is the head, or the back of the head, compared to the front of the head. So let's have a look at measuring. So if I use centimetres, and I'm just going to take it to the nose, that's about 6.5 centimetres there. Okay, now if I go 6.5 centimetres, oh look at that, back of the head. So this point here, which is about halfway, that part of the face is equal to that part of the head. Do consider that when you're starting to plot this out, because I can see a lot of heads moving off the back of the piece of paper. Right, now let's get this worked out onto our map. Stick that down there so it's ready to rock and roll. I'm going to be using my biro, and I've got to be aware of whatever I've got over here, I need over here. I've got 50-50 it to give me the room for the front of the face in relationship to the head. Unless I want to fall off my piece of paper, which I really don't, because it's very unprofessional of me. So, I've got a lot down here, so I'm going to probably go up a little bit higher. If I make that centre crosshair, okay? Now, whatever I go here, remember, I've got to add on a little bit more because I've got the chin, and the chin's coming out further than that point. It's halfway. So, if I say, and I'm just doing this by eye, if I give myself that point to this point, so it's kind of the edge of the nose. My nose is going to come out here. Okay, that means I've got a little bit for my chin and my lips to work down here. Then my neck, that's going to come down here. Then I'm going to work my throat, okay, coming into my funky black t-shirt down here. Now this means, obviously, like I just said, if I take that measurement, I could use my ruler, but I'm going to be really sloppy and not. I know the back of my head has got to be around here, okay? And you can see by just double checking that measurement, I've got this room at the back, which means the picture will look so much more neater when I'm pulling it off at the end. Right, now let's just start getting drawing, I'm guessing, because you're going to be bored of me talking you through this. I'm going to hold my pen at the back, and I'm going to start drafting in a very soft line. Now, the problem that you get here is because you're working on a busy surface like a map, you get a lot of kind of visual pollution. You have to edit out the background and kind of ignore it until you've got the main structure down of whatever you're drawing. Now, because I put this line through, and I could kind of use these points, so I know that is going to be when my ear goes in, because it kind of just fits in nicely there. and I know that my nose is going to be sitting above. So this is kind of, this point here is where my nose kind of comes into my top of my lip. So I'm going to just use that, a bit like an anchor point. And an anchor point is where you can put a point on a picture and you can measure it out, put it onto your drawing paper, and you know that those 2 points should match. So I've got that up there. I'm going to then hold my pencil and I'm going to draw by eye. Now you can measure this if you want to, but I think it's kind of nice drawing by eye. Let's take that in there. At that point, I'm going to have the brow coming in up over here. I'm going to have forehead coming up over there, and that will go into the hair. Now I've got to watch this because I really do have this habit of going way too big and getting out of control. Now remember, your chin wants to come out further than that nose. That bottom lip needs to be coming out further than the top, and then that means your chin needs to be coming out here. You see how I'm using straight lines to construct the person? And I'm going to get that jaw shadow in. And look at that, that's kind of going, so alignment line if I wanted to, going straight down. I can see where the brow of the nose, brow of the nose comes in. That's roughly where the throat point meets as well, vertically. I'm going to get this shadow marked out roughly. I can throw in the eye angle and look at that. Can you see the arch of the skin going over the eyeball and how it angles down? Look at that, where the top eyelashes are just slightly low. You get in the brow, you get like a slight arch, the eyeball, and you're going to get that brow which is fairly flat, coming down. Now I've got a problem because you see how that point is there. You can see how my brow is gripping over, obviously getting too big. Let's get that ear in. Remember that alignment line. Keeping things very simple, just getting that reference. And you see how I've grown? So I've grown a bit more on this side, which I know I was going to do because I always do. That's why I gave myself some slack. See how I gave myself that extra slack? I always have the habit of getting too big. You can see how the bottom of the head is coming in line with that. Right, so now I need to slide my hand down and start getting a little bit more of a crisp, accurate thing. And this, again, the drawing constantly evolves. So try and be delicate on your pen work. Personally, with profiles, I prefer to get in the nose I find it easier, and then it gives you a good idea of where other things sit in relationship to it. You can see I've already changed my mind, and that's typical drawing. I'm making sure his positions are correct. Okay, so let's just get this in. Have a look at the eye. Usually everyone goes way too big for eyes. That's another thing that everyone falls into. Do keep a good close watch on how big you are taking your eye, because it's very easy to get a little bit out of control and too large. Right, then look at the eye, you can see that shadow coming down. You got a shadow on the nose, you got this shadow on the nose that we're going to whack up. Then I'm looking at the eyebrow, so you can see that ear should be more left. Doesn't surprise me because I've shimmied a little bit bigger than I should have. So I'm going to ignore this point now. I'm going to move my ear over, looking at the relationship of one feature to another. I know that the ear position is right. It should be low, because you can see it's sitting below roughly where that bottom lip is, but it needs to come over to the right hand side. That comes up to sitting underneath the nose. You can see I'm already going too high there. And then we're going to have a hairline kind of coming up here. Okay, so let's get that shadow coming up underneath the ear. I'm getting roughly a boundary line that I'm going to be working on for my shadow. Coming up, you can see that cut into the cheek, and you see how it sits underneath the eye, because you're getting that cheek that wraps around. And then that comes out for the jaw shape and around there. My head's going to be growing even bigger now. Slightly moving back, like so. Now we've got the main tendons coming down the neck. Shadow work. If I want to, I could take a measurement. So maybe the brow to the nose from here to here. I'm going to drop it down. As you can see, the t-shirt should be about 2/3. I'm about right. And the shoulder is quite high up. And that's going to hook round. Like so. And we got bare bones there. Okay, now I'm going to check the base of the head. Yep, that's about right. That should be coming back there. And now I need to start building up the accurate observations of like all the tonal details. And generally with Biro, what you're looking at doing is building up lots of cross hatching, going multiple ways, following the contours of the surface that you're trying to represent. And the more that you build up, getting a stronger, darker shadow. So you don't really want any hard crisp lines, you want everything to be forms of crosshairs to make it look realistic. And you might find that when you're new to this, the easiest place to work is anywhere that's got the stronger shadows.
I'm number one. I'm the first in line. I'm numero uno. Yeah. And I'm feeling mighty fine, yeah. I'm the first one here. That's all I've got to say. That's gotta count for something. Come on, baby, just look at me, yeah. I'm number one. Hey, numero uno. Don't wanna be no second. Don't give me no third. You're gonna have to get up pretty early in the morning just to
Right, so that's just a quick little demo just to show you how to get that done. You can see you could work it out much more than I am, and you can probably be a bit more neater than I'm a little bit messy. But it gives you the idea that you just generally use a biro, you create a basic construction layout of whatever you're drawing, a linear form, being very soft and gentle and light with your lines, usually working in straight line format. And then you come in and you start building up cross hatching just to get those darker tones, paying attention to looking at the shapes of the highlights and the shapes of the shadows and how they all sit together. You can see here, for instance, the arc under the jawline there that's coming up in the reference image. So you can make it a little bit darker just by putting a few more cross-hatching lines on there. It comes up into the ear, the jawline. It's up to you on how far you want to take it. It can be quite addictive because you can doodle this, and you can try different pens and different colours to find out what works for you, and even mix it up, maybe use a few colours in the same picture. So I hope you've enjoyed it and that you've learnt lots as always, and I'll see you this time next week. Have a nice week. Bye everyone.